Thank you so much. As Joyce and Michelle introduced me, I'm Dr. Teresa Courtney. I currently work at Region 4. I'm fairly new there. And so I have to make a disclaimer that Region 4 is not endorsing. I'm just here to talk about how we can all work together. And Project Discovery was a tool that we used in the district I was in prior to going to Region 4. So this is my 25th year in education. It's all been in special ed. And either as a vocational teacher for 10 years, I developed work programs for students through VAC, created, supported on-the-job training where we had job coaches going to the community, kind of a pre-ETS before they had pre-ETS. And then I was a transition coordinator. And now I'm an education specialist in the area of transition for Educational Service Center Region 4, which is located in Houston. So I'm going to be kind of doing a quick overview of CTE, pre-ETS, apprenticeships, how we can all work together. And I'm going to review a program that we did in the district that I was in, where we worked in collaboration, CTE, special ed, and we had a summer program using the Project Discovery kits as our curriculum. So I'm going to talk about that. Next slide. So career technical education, I think everybody's heard of it. About 20 years ago, it was called CATE, Career and Technology Education. So it's changed names a couple of times, and it goes all the way back to 1917 when they decided that the federal government says we've got to have some education, we've got to have some teachers teaching these vocational programs. So all the way from 1917 to 1990, Carl Perkins funding came available, and we expanded into that there needed to be more different types of careers in vocation, that it wasn't just a handful of different trade skills, as you might say. Okay, next. So you may have thought of CTE as the co-op, those for the students that weren't going to go to college. So you may have heard referred to as CBVI, CBVE, community-based vocational instruction, co-op, VAC. There were all these different names that all meant students going into the community to work or learning those job skills. So the work-based learning provides those students with the opportunities to learn those technical along with academic employability skills by actually working in real work environment in the community, in the business. Work-based learning prepares those students for future careers, and it's part of a high-quality CTE program, but can also be part of work-based learning, 18+ programs, and I'm going to take a look at how we can kind of mesh those together. Okay, next slide, please. So when you're talking about career technical education, they're work-based learning courses. Career preparation and practicum courses are those courses that are CTE, a certified CTE teacher can teach, as well as a certified special education teacher, having taken the work-based learning course through CTE. And of course, when I'm talking about this in general terms, I'm referring to how CTE works in the state of Texas. So those career preparation practicum kind of replaced those courses that were removed by the state of Texas when they implemented House Bill 5, that all students would have to take the same courses, where there used to be, you had gen ed students and then you had special ed students, and those students with more significant disabilities would have a different way to earn a high school diploma. In Texas, there's only one diploma, and every student has the right to earn it. You can earn a certificate, a vocational certificate. Every student has the opportunity to earn a high school diploma in the state of Texas. So we talk about career preparation. It's you can have paid or unpaid experiences in the community. The practicum is designed to be very job specific. So you'll have a certified teacher, say in nursing, that you may be working in those different career pathways associated with that particular career. Next slide, please. So when you go to, and the link to this website here, the state of Texas went from 16 to 14 career clusters. And within those career clusters, they developed career pathways. And so these programs of studies, when you click on, the website is there, we just pulled up one so you can see an example. And this was animal science. And so in animal science, this program of study is going to list you all the different levels. And I know it's kind of small to see there, but it's going to tell you what type of degrees you can earn and what those degrees are called specifically. That it's going to tell you Oh, you're gonna make it bigger. And then it also on the second page, they're all kind of like a one, have a front and back page. It's going to tell you those courses you can take. And of course, not every school district or charter is going to offer every course. That's physically impossible. It's going to tell you kind of what those sequence of courses are. They're going to help you get to that level, all based on when we're talking about transition and through the lens of special ed, whatever those post-secondary goals are, and you're creating that course of study, you can see what those courses are going to look like. So there's one of these one-pagers for each different program of study under those 14 career clusters. I see Joyce has put the link. Go in and look at that. And you can, it's very easy, very user-friendly to go in. You click on that career cluster. There's all the different courses of studies by the state of Texas. You click on that and you get your one-pager. Next slide. So in Texas, students previously had access to modified CTE courses, and they were called CTED, Career and Technology Education for the Disabled. And so that was in the law, it said for those students who even using supplemental aids and supports would not be successful in a general career and technology class, they could take what's called a CTED. So they would use that course number. It was taught by a certified CTE teacher, but it was modified, and it would be modified based on how the modifications would be needed for those particular, they call them TEKS, Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills. And that's what each different course has all these different, it's kind of like you have to achieve in order to earn credit for that course. So when House Bill 5 came along, there were new graduation requirements. Every single student has to have the same 22 credits or 26 if they're going to have an endorsement. So with that movement toward inclusion, the CTED course numbers were discontinued. And along with it, they took the BAC courses, they took the marketing, some of those CBBI courses that students could earn local credit toward graduation, those all went away. They had to earn state credits just like their non-disabled peers. So courses like general employability and student to industry connections were developed. They're designed to fill those gaps for students that were unable to complete the more rigorous curriculum for some of the CTE courses. But the still idea was to include, move toward inclusion, include all the students to the greatest extent possible in CTE courses. Next slide, please. So in the state of Texas, you have what's called the foundation plan. That's 22 credits if you're going to graduate foundation only, but every student has to determine between 8th grade and 9th grade, when they enter 9th grade and they have their high school course of study, they have to declare an endorsement. And so the 5 endorsements are business industry, the STEM, public service, arts, humanity, and multidisciplinary. If you're a very, very small district, you have to have at least one, that would be the multidisciplinary. So even your smaller districts have to offer an endorsement. Next slide, please. So then those programs of studies that we just looked at, they're going to be tied, in this little example of a chart shows you all the different CTE courses and how they're connected to endorsements. So when you're looking at, this is what I want to do for a career, this is what I want to do for employment, you look at, these are the courses I need to take while I'm in high school. So we're looking at how do we get the students access to all of these, not only general education, disabilities. Okay. So when we're talking about work-based learning in Career Prep 1, this is going to offer those opportunities for students to go out to the community. So they have an hour in the classroom and then they go to work. They could be in a paid or unpaid as long as they're working towards paid employment. And the goal of this is to prepare that student with a variety of those skills needed to adapt and be flexible in the workplace. You know, some students kind of get a mindset that this is what I'm going to do, and this isn't what it said on paper, and I don't want to do, this is part of the job I don't like. So they get a chance to go out and try that job to see if they like it while there's still support in the school. It also effectively prepares those students for colleges and career success. What's that next step they're going to go into, whether it's college apprenticeship programs, or maybe it's right to work through on-the-job training. And the work-based learning, it's for 11th and 12th graders. So you'll see, depending on which level of work-based learning, they have to be 9th or 10th graders and take prerequisites. But most of the time it's going to be junior, senior, because you have to be 16 to be in the work program. So those work-based learning, Career Prep 1, 2, and student to industry connections. like I said a minute ago, these are can be taught by special ed teacher who has received the CTE work-based learning course. But keeping in mind that when they're setting up a master schedule and students are being put into the system, that special ed teacher may be teaching a class that has not just disabled students, but general ed students as well. The CTE Practicum course, on the other hand, that has to be taught by a CTE certified teacher in that specific content area. Next, please. So we talk about CTE in middle school. Transition in Texas begins at age 14, which means at 13, we start doing transition assessments. We start looking at those post-secondary goals. What are you going to do? What are you interested in? And of course, through doing transition assessments, we're going to find out what career interests are. And so maybe we can start looking at some classes that they could start and take while they're in middle school that will prepare them for those high school CTE courses. Next, please. So there are two in the state of Texas, there are two CTE middle school 7th and 8th grade courses. The first one's called Investigating Careers. And the goal of this course is to create that foundation for success in high school. So, okay. I was seeing something. Can you go back to the other slide? I had a picture pop up. I couldn't. So, oh, no, there you go. Investigating careers, finding out, looking before a student chooses their endorsement, they need to get some more information about, well, which endorsement do I want? What's involved in those classes? What kind of skills do I need to have? The students are going to research labor market information. They're going to look at what is a high demand career? How much am I going to get paid? And then specifically, am I going to stay in the Houston area? Am I going to be, maybe I want to go to California, New York? It doesn't mean that they're always going to stay right there, but they can explore looking at other states, other areas, and what is the career opportunity for jobs, and also what the pay is going to be. What is the outlook? Is that a career that's kind of declining and not as many openings? And is there not much of a demand? So that's things that you're going to explore. This education instruction also provides content aligned with those challenging academic standards and the relevant technical knowledge and skills that these students need to further continue their education, whether they're going to go into college apprenticeship program or going on to work, because all students are competing. Everybody's competing against each other, whether you're a student with a disability or not. You're still competing against other students, so you need to be as well equipped as possible. Next slide, please. The second class offered in the state of Texas, College and Career Readiness. And this career development process is unique to every person. So when you're looking at decision-making skills, problem-solving skills, a lot of times, we have what they call helicopter parents. They make the decisions, and even the students that are capable of making decisions, they get used to that. And it's kind of a learned helplessness. Everybody else is going to make decisions for me. They're going to tell me where I'm going to go to school, what I'm going to study. So they need to understand have some self-determination to say, this is what I want. The advocacy part is going and asking for what it is that they want. So the more the students gather valid information about labor market, what it means to go to work, what kind of training, how much is it training, who's going to provide the training. So all those different things are what you're going to look at when you're talking about college and career readiness that's preparing you for those courses you're going to take in high school. Next, please. So to help with that, Texas Workforce Commission, that's the state. Every state has a rehabilitation state employment agency that works with all individuals, whether they have a disability or not. There's someone who's unemployed, they're there to help them be employed. So the state of Texas was ordered, mandate, whatever, that 15% of the money that they use has to go toward providing pre-employment transition services. So the state vocational rehab agencies offer these pre-employment transition services to students with disabilities receiving services under special ed or 504. A lot of people don't know that 504 students are eligible for these services as well. So the five types of services that are offered are career exploration counseling, And that's to assist the students in becoming aware of their interests and abilities. And so they may use tools like Texas OnCourse, which can start at age 14 and up, take courses, ONET, which everybody's probably familiar with. Those labor market and career information. There's a job site called Jobs Y'all. So the students like going to Jobs Y'all. And person-centered planning is another activity that they do that help with exploring those careers. The second item is work-based learning experiences. And this takes place in the work environment, in the community. It can be informational interviews. Say if you want to work as a pastry chef, what does that entail? So you'll set up a time to go meet with a pastry chef at maybe one of your more exclusive restaurants and talk to them about what it takes to do that. Job shadowing, following somebody around that's doing that job. Internships. Internships are becoming more and more popular, paid and unpaid. And also work-based learning tours, touring a place to see, oh, this is what it's like. Is it noisy? Is it, is it hot? Is it outside, inside? Looking at what that actual work environment is something you can do. The third service they would provide is counseling on post-secondary opportunities. So what that is self-advocacy and learning how to effectively communicate their wants, their desires, their needs in the community or on a job. Teachers teach the students about their rights. What is your right as an employee? And then what do you do if you feel your rights are being violated? How to request accommodations if you're 504 or a student on an IEP. How do you request those accommodations at the workplace, or even when you're taking assessments like SAT or the ACT, you can get accommodations. How to use self-advocacy when it comes to curriculum. What are those accommodations saying? I don't like having somebody read to me, or I'm just really having difficulty. I need a bigger screen on my laptop, or whatever. It's being able to ask for those things that you need to better do your job and even be more successful in school. The fourth thing is counseling. Like I said, I'm sorry, counseling on post-secondary opportunities, and that provides information on colleges, career planning. What are some of the opportunities out there for internships? It could be one-on-one, it could be in a small group, or even a large group, depending on what the activity is. It could be helping you complete the FAFSA. And in the state of Texas, this graduates from 2022, just graduated, getting ready to, it's a requirement they have to complete the FAFSA as part of the graduation requirements. Now there is an opt-out if they've already made plans, they've got a scholarship or something, but they're required to at least either opt out or complete the FAFSA application. Also budgeting for college. They want to go to A&M. Well, how much does it cost to go to A&M? How are you going to pay for it? How long is it going to take you to pay for it? Now, for some of those things, looking at what that cost is for college and how do you budget for it, and just exploring who offers a program that I'm interested in, maybe in the area. I don't want to go to a big college. I want to go to a smaller college, but do they offer that program? Or how do you research and find out what colleges offer what programs? And then the last thing is workplace readiness. So that's an opportunity for students to learn on the job training, learn those job skills. And a lot of them, they say soft skills, but it's learning to communicate, learning those self-advocacy, saying, I've been working here for 2 years and I'm still making $7.50 an hour. I think I deserve a raise. I've had perfect attendance. I come into work when other people can't. Learning how to advocate for yourself, to ask for a raise, ask for a promotion, and even just simple things like ask for a day off. And what are those behaviors you need? Like, how do you know when it's time to take a break? How do you know when it's time to, or how do you call in when you're sick? Don't come to work when you're sick. Some that's practicing mock interviews, learning how to write a resume, and learning how to fill out applications. Another thing is practicing how to interview on Zoom. I got the job I'm in now. I was hired, had 4 interviews, all online, hired online, trained online, and I worked for almost a full year from home, having to figure out how to do technology and fill out all the paperwork. So, next slide, please. So in the pre-ETS, These are activities designed for students with disabilities. They can be, they don't have to be what they call ineligible. They can be potentially eligible, meaning if they have a disability, we go ahead and start them with pre-ETS services and worry about making them eligible for the other services. These support the career development. So in a pre-ETS, you can take one of these or two of these, maybe spread it out over a couple of years. It all depends on the needs of your students. What do your students need? Maybe this year they need some of that real basic counseling, like they don't know what they want to do. Let's find out, let's narrow that field so that we can write those appropriate post-measurable goals. The pre-ETS services can start, like I said, as early as 14 in middle school and go up to 22. So you could have them in a pre-vocational, pre-CTE course. You could have them in a work-based learning in the high school, and 18 plus is work-based learning. And in the state of Texas, if they're in a work-based learning where they have a local credit, that doesn't count toward graduation, but they should be in the CTE, like Career Prep 1, Career Prep 2. And of course, the work-based learning 18 plus, a lot of times those students are there for the transition services for employment. Okay, next slide. So let's talk about what we did with the vocational. And this is where it was a great collaboration between CTE teachers, special education teachers. We had job coaches. We had a high school in the district that let us use their CTE building. So I'm going to show you some, excuse me, photographs of where we used it. I'm going to tell you how we did it. So, excuse me, these are students. I wish you could see their faces, but we don't have permission to nationwide. They were so excited, and this was the patient care. And so we not only had the students in there, we pulled in the nurses, we stopped the janitor, can we take blood pressure? So they were taking everybody's temperature and blood pressure that they came across. This was over summer school. Next slide. Emergency patient care. Now these are all project discovery kits that we used during the school year, but then we created this summer program where we had CTE teachers teaching the course with a co-teacher, a special education co-teacher. So there were 2 teachers in the room. We limited to 10 students per class, and we had a morning class and an afternoon class. So the students could pick their 2 top areas of interest, and they do the morning, they'd have lunch, they'd come back and do an afternoon session. So this was emergency patient care. See, we got the janitor, we got the school nurse, we got the students, and the one young lady who was a senior, and she had always wanted to work in medical care. She's going to be a nurse, very determined. She took this class where they had the fake blood, and she almost passed out and said, I don't think I can do this job. But she liked helping people. She ended up going in and getting her child care certificate and was working in a daycare. So that was a whole total change because she got a chance to explore what it was like, because you're actually, you know, it wasn't real blood, but they were learning how to bandage wounds, learn how to take blood pressure, and you're all using, the kits came not with toy stuff. It was all real stethoscopes and real blood pressure cuffs, and it was all equipment that reality you would actually use in a job setting. So that was one of the things that it wasn't like we're playing, working, we were actually working. But so next. So this is another young lady who was kind of not happy with the fake blood, but but she did okay. So because they were practicing, the one young lady who was very interested in nursing, and she got all the bandaging down, and so she did a really good job in that. Next slide, please. And this is just another one where she was bandaging, practicing bandaging, and this young lady here, she was sticking bandages on everybody she came across, whether they had an injury or not. She was practicing. Next one. It's kind of the same thing, the same 3. Next one. Next one. Same one. See, they got this guy every day he came in. Another one, and they took turns on each other learning how to do it. And then we have what we call pre-cosmetology, which is a hair, skin, and nails kit. And the cosmetology lady let us, very gracious, and let me use her cosmetology lab. And so The young ladies learned how to wash hair. They learned how to color hair. They did nails. They did makeup. And just down the hall was the automotive. So one Friday, they decided that the young men were going to wash the parents' cars, and then the girls were going to wash the automotive young man's hair. And so they were very ecstatic that they each got to share and help each other out. So they all thought that was great. They enjoyed doing that. There was another one. And the last day we had the moms come in, and the young ladies washed and styled their hair and did their makeup and nails. And they spent like all morning, and the moms were so proud of the girl, and the girls were like, oh, look. It was kind of a bonding time for the moms. And so it was a good relationship, but there was that you didn't realize once you went into it. They did everything but cut hair. We didn't cut hair. Next, please. So this was a couple of the moms. And this is actually, the teacher was she was a certified cosmetology teacher, but that was her second career. Her first career was, she was a social worker. So she loved coming and working with the students. So she was my cosmetology teacher. This was the shop teacher. We used the automotive shop. They learned to detail cars, and then we took it one step further. He had a tire changing machine, and he taught them, the young men, and there was a young lady in there too, who earned their tire change certificate. One young man was so excited, came back 2 weeks later waving, look, I got a job, because he had a certificate, took it down to Discount Tire, and he got himself a part-time job. So these started out is, starting with the tool, we used the Project Discovery Kits to build our curriculum around, and then expanded out from there. So they were learning how to detail cars. There's just more, and then they took it one step further, learned how to change oil. And this was the child care. We had a young man who, as a dare, his friends dared him to sign up for the child care. So he did, and really liked it. So then the next summer we had 2 or 3 more young men that came into it, because they need to know how to take care of babies too. Someday they're maybe fathers. So it was a good experience for them to learn that it isn't just a woman's role to take care of the kids. So the kids enjoyed that. And they took it very seriously, washing the babies and diapering. And this was one of the biggest, probably the most popular. And so every teacher that taught it would pass it on to the other teacher, added to it. So I ended up with a whole wall of like little baby swings and car seats and baby swing, just all kinds of stuff. Clothes. Oh, I can't imagine all the clothes. And we ended up with more of the little gadgets that babies use. Like there's a little disc that sits in the tub for the baby to sit on. That was in there. So whoever took it next had to make 2 trips with their car to get all the equipment over to their classroom, because everybody added to it because they liked it so much. Next, please. And this was just the students that were in the child care course. And there they are. And one of them was saying, no, that's not how you. So I took a picture. This is a student teaching another student the proper way to bathe the baby. So see, it was sharing a lot of camaraderie on with this. Next, please. Just another example of where their child care. They learned how to bathe the baby, how to hold the baby was real important. Animal care, we had the FFA teacher that taught, and they all brought their different, they had dogs and cats and hamsters and rabbits, and they all brought their different animals in, and they learned how to care for the animals. One summer I had an actual, a vet tech student from A&M who came out and taught the class. Excuse me. And one of the young men that went through this summer course ended up getting a job at an animal shelter working with the cats, and he was allowed to administer medication because he learned how to do it in this summer program. So that was a win-win. There they are bathing a dog. Hamsters and rabbits. And then they all decided they all wanted to bring all whatever their different animals were that they had. Next. And this was, I guess it's a parrot. It was a white parrot. And you could tell the students that were afraid of it. This bird took this young man and followed him everywhere on his shoulder. Next picture, please. And you can't see his face there, but they're looks like they're making eye contact. It's like this one didn't talk yet, and then this one, the bird kind of flew up on his head, and he wasn't real happy. He's going, "Get it off, get it off!" So he wasn't fond of the birds. Next, please. So what we did is we used the project discovery kits, and we created that summer vocational program. And like I said, we used the special ed teachers as co-teachers, and the CTE teachers taught that content area, and it was all volunteer. And I budgeted a year in advance, so I knew what I was going to pay the teachers, got paid the regular summer school rate for how many weeks. And then I handled all of the kind of like the master scheduling for it, tracking the student attendant, because the last 2 years that we had it, the students actually earned a half credit of high school credit taking it. And these were just some of them, the different career. We had more than this, but these were the most popular. Next slide. So what I did is, let's see. Okay. Yeah, the majority of the students were 8th graders going into high school. So they got to kind of get a feel for the high school without the 4,000 students at the particular high school that would go. Students attended all day, 4 days a week for 3 weeks, and earned half a credit towards their high school diploma. You got the list. Okay, next slide. So this is just an example. These are kind of outdated course numbers. What I did is I took the CTE courses, I took the project discovery kits that matched up to those course numbers. And then of course we don't have CTED anymore, so you can forget that. And then I had 2 different versions. I had the ACTE, and then I had SET. So I had the adapted versions of the kits for those students that were low to non-readers, that had more significant disabilities and needed like kind of like a job coach system. So I had those students with those courses, and then the students that would be able to take a CTE course through inclusion, they were part of the ACTE, Applied Career Technologies. And so the students signed up based on what they wanted to take, their 2 top categories of their popular, and then we got teachers, special ed co-teachers. We were off and running. Next slide. So the benefits to CTE is SPED collaboration. The CTE teachers' attitudes were more positive, and part of that was because the fear of having a student with a disability they're not sure how to handle, you know, what were the accommodations, how did they need to modify, they didn't need to do any of that. The special ed teacher was there to provide that support. The students gained career exploration experience. They got to actually try things, and a lot of these students were students that had been denied access to regular CTE courses. So it was really important that they get that career exploration. The CTE teachers go, yeah, I can do this. These students were going to be fine. And a couple of the students that had been denied were led into these classes. The students learned how to maneuver high school. And like I just said, those that were previously denied access to CTE were now admitted because the teachers got an idea without a lot of stress, and you know, they could see, okay, now I know how this works. And the teachers would usually about January go, hey, yeah, that's summer school, put me down, I want to teach it. So it was a win-win situation for everybody. And we started the first year, we had 12. The 4th summer we had 58 students. So, and then when they discontinued it, the parents were calling because they had older children that had taken it, and their younger children now wanted to take it. So it was very popular. And there were so many benefits. We didn't really have any issues at all. We did add one of the days we went out, like the automotive went actually down to Jiffy Lube and looked at what it takes to get a job or what they needed to do. The child care went and job shadowed a daycare center. So we actually took what they were doing and took it into the community. Next, please. So then, and this is kind of setting the ground for apprenticeships. because apprenticeships are something that people don't think too much about. And there is a thing called pre-apprenticeship programs, but they're very, very hard to get into the schools. If you've got them, yay. I sit on the Houston Council for Apprenticeships, and we're trying to get the ball rolling for the pre-apprenticeship programs, because they have to be sponsored by a business who's willing to pay the money it takes to put that apprenticeship in place. So a registered apprenticeship means it's a program that's providing to each trainee a combination of classroom and on-the-job training. It's under the direct and close supervision of that highly skilled worker. So they're usually going to have a foreman or someone who's working with them and training them. And this is a recognized, and I say recognized meaning by the U.S. Department of Labor, as an apprenticeship trade. And it isn't just pipe fitting, welders. You can have anything. And right now they're getting ready. They're working on putting together a program for nursing, because there's such a nursing shortage. So they're looking at putting some apprenticeship programs in place and then dropping it down to the high schools and putting in a pre-apprenticeship program for nursing. So an apprenticeship program, if you know how it works, you get paid. You're working and you get paid. And usually it's 15, 17, up to $24 an hour while you're learning. And then you go to school maybe 2 nights a week. And the business that's hired you as an apprentice is also paying for that school. You may have to pay $50 for a book or two, but everything else is paid for. So as you earn each, if you have a apprenticeship that has levels, and each time you reach a level, you get a pay raise. And the idea is that once you have that certificate or license, you're hired by that business. So you have your certificate, you're going to be an average, say, of $60,000 a year for someone who's 22, 23 years old. That's not bad. You have no school debt. And then there's 22 colleges in Texas that have what's called the crosswalk. So this individual has taken all these courses to get their certification. They take that certification, those classes they took, and the college gives them credit for those courses they took as they earn their certificate or license. And they can earn an associate's degree because they're going to get credit for all those courses they took. In some cases, the business will say, you go back to school, I'll pay for whatever those classes are. And so the student comes out with not only a certificate or a license, but they have an associate's degree and they have zero debt and they got a good paying job. So lots of reasons, but we're such a college oriented culture, I guess, our word, like college, that, you know, sometimes student goes, high school was so hard. Why would I want to go do even harder work in a college and pay all that money? So when you're looking at apprenticeships, it's a really good alternative that people don't know they're out there. So next slide. So I just kind of this little chart that kind of shows you employment. That's the whole goal. We go to college, we go to whatever we do, it's because we want to work. We want a job. So there's different ways to get there. So you could start with CTE, go to an apprenticeship program, boom, you got a job. You could start in middle school with some career exploration, some pre-ETS services, combine it with CTE, work-based learning, employment. All roads lead to employment. Next slide. So the goal between all of these apprenticeships, you have your CTE, apprenticeships, pre-ETS. Pre-ETS is going to give you this service, provide those pre-employment services. And as they get older, they finish the pre-ETS, they're ready to go in as an eligible. They're going to receive more services. It could be vocational testing, job coaching. And if they were to go into an apprenticeship program and those students are under TWC, your state rehab agency, they may pay for their books. They may pay for if they need equipment like hard hats and steel-toed shoes. They may pay for that. They may pay for uniforms. So it's always, everybody's all connected together. We can't work as silos. We can't work independently as little satellites rotating. We all have to work together. We're all connected, especially now that inclusion is there. Let's all work together in this. CTE, special ed, as apprenticeship programs, pre-ETS start in middle school, and project discovery and a lot of their other products. Like I said, I'm not endorsing, I'm just saying, always looking for tools to make our job easier. And I thought these students that earned high school diploma, they got real life experiences. They found out what they liked, what they don't like. The CTE teachers found out they like teaching the course. Of special ed kind of saw what, what's involved in teaching a CTE course. So it was a win-win situation for everybody. So the students explore those careers, and the whole thing is that we want to improve those outcomes once a student leaves high school, because so many of students, not just students with disability, but other students, they're 25, 30 years old, they're back at home because they just weren't successful. They didn't get the training, they didn't get those skills they need to, a lot of them don't have trouble getting a job, it's keeping the job that's the issue. Any questions? Whew, we're gonna get through it all.
I wish that we could all do like a big round of applause for Teresa. That was fantastic. Thank you.
I know I jumped around.
No, I think it was wonderful, and I hope everybody else feels the same way. I'm sure they do. And we do have time for some questions. I had a couple along the way, but now is the time. If you guys have any, excuse me, please type them into the chat. We would love to hear. But Teresa, one question that I got, were there problems having SPED and CTE in the same course? Was there pushback from staff, parents, or students?
No, because it was a volunteer. I said, okay, we're going to teach childcare. I've got 5 CTE childcare. Who wants to do it? Yes, I'm not doing it. But there was someone say, okay, I'll try it, knowing there was going to be a special ed to support them. So that there wasn't any at all. Like I said, they came back, some of these, especially law enforcement, kind of at first went, well, I don't know, I'll give it a try. And then it was like, wow, I want to do it next year. So didn't really have it because it was a volunteer basis. And they got paid too, so.
Yeah, awesome. Okay. And then another question was about ESC4 and how it works with surrounding districts. If you could kind of explain a little bit more.
Okay, so the service center there's 89 districts in Region 4, and there's 1.2 million students. So in my particular area, I'm in accountability leadership. So I work with compliance for transition for students with disabilities, but I also work with principals. So I do some other work outside, even though it's special ed, but I also do like career and technology. So my coworker in my department is CTE, and I did my dissertation research in CTE. I did my master's thesis in CTE. It's kind of always been there in the background. So, but in my particular area, what we do is if they need training, technical assistance, then we go out and provide that to districts that need help. So they would call me and say, hey, I don't know how to write goals. How would I, what do I do to, sometimes it's parents that call with questions about transition. How do you write goals? I give trainings in that. I'm going out to 3 different districts next week to provide training in just transition. What is it and why do we do it? To help the student be more successful when they leave, self-determination skills, all those things.
Great. Okay. And then I just had a question come in. I was wondering about Project Discovery. Is that part of the curriculum or their transition program?
Well, I don't actually have a curriculum or a program. It depends on what I'm doing. Like if I'm doing teaching on how to do transition assessments, I may have other different courses. This was a resource that I used when I was in a district. So when I'm talking from a district. When I was in a district before I came to the region. And so I worked with Project Discovery for maybe 15 years. But the whole idea was summer school because I wanted the students to get access to CTE. So by showing, and what I did is before we even had the students come, we had a day of training. And so we took the kids and I trained both the CTE and the special ed teachers. This is the class, this is what it looks like because it has the pre-test, post-test, all the lesson plans. So I showed them how to use the kit before they did it. Does that make sense? So that, and I was there on site with any questions that might come up, but we really did it. And then the CTE teachers supplemented the kids with maybe, oh, I have this that we can use. So they would have resources that they could add to it to supplement. That makes sense.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Joyce, did you want to pop in? We have one more question, but I didn't know if you wanted to pop in
Go
and
ahead. Let's answer that one more question.
okay, great. So the last question, what grades were the students who received pre-ETS and apprenticeship together?
Pre-ETS and apprenticeships. Okay, they weren't together because the pre-ETS is 14 to 22, and you have to be 18 to go into apprenticeship. So they would, if they did pre-ETS, this is something fairly new, then they would have gone to apprenticeship. They have to be a high school graduate to be an apprenticeship. To be a pre-apprenticeship, they could still be in school, and that's what we don't have. We're trying to get in place because there's a gap between, you know, your pre-ETS, CTE, and then apprenticeships. We need that link between CTE, pre-apprenticeships, apprenticeships. That makes sense?
Yeah. And you know, one of the things that we had been talking about when we were preparing for this is that sometimes students learn more about what they don't want to do, right? And they go through, like the girl who you said she didn't, oh, I don't like blood. Really, maybe I don't want to be a nurse. But it's very true. I told you my personal story that I did a vocational agriculture program in New York City, nonetheless. And I decided after that 4 years of that program that I wasn't going to shovel any more manure. So I was done.
Right.
Right.
My 17-year-old revelation, which was a good one. I'm very glad I did that.
Yeah.
So, oh, wow. Well, thank you so much, Teresa.
Oh, you have my contact information for anybody that may say, well, how did you do that? You know, what was my starting point? How did I know what to budget? Because it took me a year to convince the admin that, hey, we need this. And then it was a cooperation because the CTE director said, I'll pay for my teachers if you'll pay for your teachers. And then I provided the curriculum and all of the supplies. So it was a joint effort.
Wow. It really is. And it's that thinking out of the box, which really kind of brings a lot of pieces together there. And I can definitely see you know, how you created just a library and wealth of material and all of the people who worked with you as well. It just kind of keeps growing from there. So thank you so much for sharing all of that. Folks, we're just about at the end of our hour here, and we just want to, you know, let you know there are plenty more resources. So if you want to watch this again, first of all, we'll be emailing it out to you with a link. Secondly, it will be on our webinar Wednesdays page on our resources page on our website. And there's also the past 2 years worth of these webinars there. So there's a great archive. And Teresa, don't forget to share this with the folks back in Region 4. And
oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And come back and take a look at this as well as they're going on through. And there's a lot of resources there for you all, so you can just kind of, you know, thumb around. I always tell people, don't forget, if you scroll down to the bottom of any of the pages on the website, there's a red box there that you can subscribe to our newsletter, which is not a real salesy thing. It's more about what did we talk about that month and what are things that we're learning and what are other resources that might be available for you. So it's a great way to kind of spread this news. And you can certainly also find other fun things, like there's a preview packet. There's amazing information about the funding that's available, because all of the typical funding, like you had mentioned, the Carl Perkins funds and so forth that are there, they're also now being kind of magnified by the ESSER funds. And I'm hearing from people that they haven't been using all their ESSER funds, but you can use it for things like this as well. All of that's up on the funding page on our website. And if you want to learn more, you can always come on over. There's a place where you can actually ask for a personal Zoom, and then Michelle or somebody on her team will be able to walk you through all of these resources and that much more. So that's just kind of a real quick tidying up of the resources available to you. And I loved this. I think this is really perfect. I just, you know, getting to that point of the apprenticeship. You said at one point, just words of wisdoms, which were all roads lead to jobs.
Employment.
All roads lead to employment. That's what it's about. So thank you very much for sharing with us today. Thanks to everybody who spent their time with us today. And we wish you all a great rest of your day and week. This week has got me thrown that it's Wednesday already. But,
I know.
It's Tuesday, so we only have a couple more to go. So thank you all so much, and we wish you the very best. Have a great day.
Thank you all for attending. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you all, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.